Hello, and thanks for joining us on Encore. Coming up on today's cinema show.
Please, come in. Hello.
Hello.
Biting the hand that feeds us, Darren Aronofsky and Jennifer Lawrence take us on a frenetic ride with Mother.
Pictures of you in his luggage. Il était respecté dans le monde entier. Jean-Luc Godard.
Jean-Luc Godard finds himself on the wrong side of the camera as a new film takes a playful look at a tricky chapter of the director's career.
I promised my sister I'd give Mary a normal life. I think she's got to be here.
I've sat upon the set.
And Gifted grapples with the question of what's best for a little girl with an extraordinarily high IQ.
Grandmother.
Holy.
For all that, I'm joined by Lisa Nesselson, our film critic. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Olivia.
Now, we're starting with a film that celebrates cinema itself and one of its great artists, Jean-Luc Godard. Redoubtable, which is the name of the film in English, was in competition at Cannes in May, and the reactions were mixed among the critics. So should director Michel Hazanavicius be making fun of the great untouchable Godard?
If he does it like this, yes. I love this movie. I love its style and its irreverence, and I think my dimples are still a little sore from grinning ear to ear while I was watching it. And it's just been shortlisted as one of 3 films competing to represent France in the foreign language film category at the Oscars. We'll know on September 19th whether it beat out Beats Per Minute or Barbara, and all 3 are more or less true stories, oddly enough. Now, Hazanavicius, who made The Artist and who is an absolute master of pastiche, was inspired by the memoir masquerading as a novel called 1 Year Later by Anne Wiazemsky, who co-starred in Godard's La Chinoise. There was a substantial age difference, almost 20 years. She was 19, I think he was 37, but they were genuinely, madly in love, and they got married. He was on top of the world, a media darling in an era when people still looked to the movies to reflect the world they were living in and give them advice about, how to live their lives. His films, from Breathless to Contempt, were discussed and admired literally the world over. But then he decided to switch registers and get way more overtly political, and the reception to his serious film was seriously disappointing, especially to him. He thought the role of misunderstood artist suited him, but when he was really misunderstood, then he lost his bearings and started to sabotage his own marriage through just stubborn crankiness. Now, this doesn't sound like a comedy, but in Hazanavicius's hands, it definitely is. So let's take a look at Louis Garrel's spot-on imitation and Garrel talking about the man himself.
L'acteur, moi, je trouve ça con. Je les méprise. C'est vrai, vous leur dites de pleurer, ils pleurent. Vous leur dites de rire, ils rient. Vous leur dites de marcher à 4 pattes, ils le font. Enfin, je trouve ça grotesque. Ce ne sont pas des gens libres. Je suis sûr que tu demandes à un acteur de dire que les acteurs sont cons, il le fait. Et même sa voix.
His voice is like an instrument, just like for musicians. His way of being aggressive, joking around, giving orders, or being harsh, he conveys it all with his very unique voice.
Sa voix est très particulière.
So an amazing likeness there, even though they don't necessarily look alike. Now, Jean-Luc Godard still making films. He has a new film coming out in a few weeks. Should we care about that?
That's a tricky question. I once heard Godard say at a press conference maybe 20 years ago that if there were 100,000 individuals on this planet who get what he's trying to do, he would be deliriously happy, over the moon. For some years now, I've had to bring one of these to the theater with me every time I see a Godard film. That's an auxiliary brain because I just feel maybe I'm not smart enough. He's an undeniable cultural figure who played with the medium of cinema in the 1960s and beyond, was one of the first to get interested in video. He even made a film in 3D. And when the protests of May 68 came along and rocked France, he should have enjoyed the moment, But he was too busy figuring out how to be more enthralled to the teachings of Chairman Mao to just sort of go with things.
Well, a true intellectual and an artist, not necessarily a happy marriage. Now, for the next film, I'm very, very curious to know what you thought of Darren Aronofsky's latest release, Mother. It's been much discussed in the press. Apparently, it's a very intense experience, which that exclamation mark in the title might suggest.
Oh, go punctuation. I like titles with exclamation points. And I think this one is absolutely called for. After the film had its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival, the Deauville Festival of American Film here in France did a tribute to writer-director Darren Aronofsky last week, and he very graciously warned the audience that they might want to leave the theater and not actually stay for the movie. And of course, the audience laughed. 1,500 people giggled. And he said, oh, you like me now, and you think I'm kidding and being funny, but you won't like me 2 hours from now. He wrote the script in just 5 days because he was so angry that it's blazingly obvious that we, the human race, are abusing our only shared planet, quite possibly past the point of no return. And we're all acting as if this criminal abuse isn't really happening. And if it is, oh, well, it's not a big deal. So I think that exclamation point is saying, yes, big deal, very, very big deal.
Yeah, indeed. Aronofsky has quite a lot to say on that subject, ecology and the like. Let's hear from him.
I live at a time when people are denying in my country that climate science is real, and they're allowing the destruction and the rape of Mother Earth to be unleashed in a way, while at the same time the 2 hugest hurricanes ever to hit the United States are happening within a few weeks of each other. And that leads me to tremendous frustration and anger and rage and passion. And I turn that into my work.
Now, it is incredibly punishing to sit through, but I think that's entirely appropriate. Aronofsky fleshed out the idea with his 2 very good actors, Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem, and after his odd, cleansing psychodrama take on Noah's Ark and the flood in Noah, here he brings us another massive calamity made manageable via a small family unit. Let's take a glimpse of Mother.
What have you done? I'm so sorry. We're both sorry. I was telling her the story.
It just fell out of my hand.
We'll search and find
We can
another
pay
one,
for
I
a
promise.
new one.
Quiet!
Quite powerful stuff there, but going back to this metaphor about the environment, does this film make you want to be a better eco-citizen?
Well, for a lot of people, I think it would actually be an effective behavior modification to say, you'd better recycle or else we'll make you sit through this movie again and again and again. Now, I have here a page from the thriving International New York Times from August 9th. Note the headline, Ominous Climate Warning Awaits President. It says world at the top, which is sort of a bold clue that climate change, global warming, whatever you want to call it, affects the entire world. My specialty is merely cinema, but I have to say, I look at this subheading, Scientists fear suppression of report that contradicts views of Trump's cabinet means that Trump's cabinet is almost certainly wrong, and it follows that humans are definitely contributing to destroying the planet, which is what Mother is about. I think the performance I enjoyed most may be Michelle Pfeiffer's. It's hard to recommend this to people, but I'm very, very glad I saw it.
Okay, an important film then. Well, now to a film that deals with a problem that we encounter a lot here at France 24, and that is genius IQs. The film's called Gifted in English, and it's called Mary here in France.
Yes, I really, really, really enjoyed this film, which I also saw at Deauville, and it's as audience-pleasing as Mother is audience-punishing. In fact, it won the Audience Award at the festival. But this never fails to amaze me as a cultural difference. French critics think it's too American. What does that mean? Well, in this case, that means it has an excellent script with lively characters we care about, conflict galore, suspense, and it's brilliantly cast. It's full of ideas that all fall into place before the end. I mean, really, who would want to see a movie like that? Too American.
Too easy.
So, Mary is a precocious 6-year-old who lives with her uncle in modest housing, and he's been homeschooling her, but he's decided she really needs to go to regular school, not only to learn the stuff that he doesn't know, but to get socialized with other kids her age. The thing is, she's a math genius, and she is bored out of her prodigious mind. Her haughty grandmother shows up, demanding that the girl be allowed to reach her potential, which would mean sticking a 6-year-old in sort of advanced university-level classes. Her uncle thinks it's better for her to have a normal childhood like other kids, and grandmother and son each have their reasons for the stances they take, and the custody battle is fascinating. If you like this clip, you will like the movie.
I didn't want to go to this stupid school in the first place. And the boy in the next row acts inappropriately for someone who's a child.
I'm sorry, I'm still passive-aggressively ignoring you.
Other kids answer questions, they don't get into trouble.
You didn't get in trouble for answering questions. You yelled at the principal. Oh, you know what? You're gonna find this interesting. So I Googled first graders who yell at the principal, and statistically, you're never gonna believe how many kids do it.
How many?
9.
Okay, well, we're finishing with a film with a character who said he would be back, and he is back again. Terminator 2 was first released in 1991, and it's back on our screens in 3D this time.
This is interesting. The original Terminator is a deserved classic, but Terminator 2 is pretty thrilling too, and in it a slightly kinder cyborg is sent to protect the future savior of humanity, but he's up against a nasty later model cyborg, and the special effects and the visual flourishes in this were jaw-dropping at the time, and they're still pretty cool, especially the liquid metal reconstruction effect. Now, when Cameron's Avatar in 3D hit theaters and broke all box office records, people sort of mistakenly assumed that that meant that everyone wanted to see all of their movies in 3D from now on. I'm not sure that popular wisdom was accurate, but Cameron is a perfectionist. He went back and he looked at every single frame of his Titanic and picked out how to make it retrofitted in 3D. And so he's done the same thing with this, with incredible care. And I can't believe it's been 26 years since Terminator 2, because I can still summon that feeling of staring at the screen, delighted in disbelief when the evil cyborg sort of melted himself back together in reverse with what looked like slippery mercury.
It was indeed a thrilling cinema moment. Well, we'll leave you with the inimitable Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us, and thanks to you at home for watching. Do remember to check out our website, and you can also keep up with Encore on social media. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
Hey, hey!
Get down.
Porque la historia se escribe día a día. Porque la actualidad no espera. La información, donde quiera que esté. En cualquier circunstancia. Todos los temas. Para entender el mundo. Para imaginar el mundo. France 24. Una mirada diferente. A partir del 26 de septiembre, en español.